This was a story that you brought in, Mark, I want to go with next, that was just, it's outrageous, but I think I heard the headline and said, well, I was waiting for this to happen, basically. When was this going to happen? Because it just follows kind of almost logically in a weird way from all the stories of zero tolerance gone wrong in schools.
Well, this is a setup, is what this is. I don't know what it was like for you guys. You guys are younger than I am. I'm 43. And in school, we had show and tell.
Yeah, we had show and tell, too.
But show and tell almost had these unspoken prohibition against bringing in toys. This was more about bringing in things you've found, like going for a walk in nature and bringing in a turtle shell or something like that. It was all about, it had more to do with learning than playing, I guess, is what, our show and tell was like at my particular school. And I'm interested in knowing, from anybody, is what was your show and tell like at your school? Was it mostly about toys? Because I kind of am of the theory, I'm of the opinion kids are fat today because they don't get out and play like I got out and played. The way that I was in kindergarten riding my bike with training wheels to the next street over. Today, you can find parents getting arrested for letting 7-year-olds, this was when I was 6, letting 7-year-olds go for a walk to the park. You can find a variety of different stories where it's illegal, apparently, to let your 9-year-old play in the park while you work at McDonald's a couple of, just like a block down or whatever. And
wow.
So, I mean, I don't know. I can't speak to what I think is arrestable and what's not arrestable, but I think that kids are sheltered, and so therefore show and tell is more likely to turn into toy and tell because kids spend more time with toys.
When are they going to be out finding rocks when they're sheltered inside all the time?
Yeah, mine was definitely toy and tell.
Was it?
Yeah, toys all the way.
Yeah, I don't really remember. I don't remember a prohibition on toys or anything, but it was kind of mixed. Like some people brought in cool stuff from their parents' travels or wherever they went.
Yeah.
Some people brought in toys, and some people brought in like animals and stuff.
I don't think that animals were acceptable in our school, but I could be wrong.
Well, now it's like, you can't bring a turtle because you're going to get salmonella. You can't bring a dog because it might bite someone. You can't bring a cat because someone might be allergic.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Basically, leaves hamsters.
Now there's something else you can't bring in. Warner Robins, Georgia. After a couple of days into the school year, fourth grader Ramsey McDonald of Warner Robins was given what he thought was a fun assignment. Bring in some of your favorite toys to talk about. Now, this is not show and tell. This is bring in some of your favorite toys to talk about.
Toys, yeah.
Now, we would have never done this in my school. Toys, you didn't bring them. You just, toys were something we didn't even talk about, really.
Yeah.
We had blocks and things.
They had toys in the classroom.
They had toys in the classroom, but they were almost, they were sort of school toys, the kind of toys, blocks and build roads and a variety of things, as opposed to little plastic action figures or something.
With all the talk about how competitive kids can get about like clothes, you would think that they wouldn't want kids bringing in toys because they might get jealous of the other kids' toys, or they can't afford them, their family can't afford them.
Listen to what Ramsey was going to bring in here. They said here, the father, Scott, says, they were trying to get to know each other. They were trying to get the kids to know each other. The Miller Elementary School student told his father Friday he was going to bring in his iPad and a couple of toys. So, Ramsey's got himself an iPad already, and if anybody's going to be jealous of anything, it's going to be of an iPad, it would seem to me. McDonald learned, I assume this is a father, that it wasn't okay when he received a call from the school Tuesday. They told my son brought a weapon to school, and they asked me if I was aware.
A weapon?
A weapon, yep.
Like an AK-47 or what?
I asked them what it was, and they said it was a plastic Nerf gun.
Shock, horror.
Yeah. So McDonald said that he knew that his child was planning on taking the blue, orange, and green plastic gun to class. And I think it's important to point out that this is a clearly, unless you believe that a pastel-colored stormtrooper blaster is somehow really a weapon, that no one is going to mistake this for a weapon.
What is it? What kind of projectiles does a Nerf gun shoot? I mean, aren't they like these soft kind of foam football things?
I can't look at this particular photo, but I would imagine if it's like the Nerf gun that my son has, it's like it's just a small cylinder, maybe as big around as a nickel, and the diameter of a nickel, but it's much longer, of course.
Right.
And then it has some fins on it. So it's a dart that's maybe 4 inches long.
All foam, though.
All foam. I mean, you couldn't hurt anybody with this. I don't know how. You might be able to shove it down their throat bodily with your finger. Would be probably the only way you could hurt somebody with this.
Yeah, doesn't exactly have stopping power, huh?
Yeah, I think that the only thing that maybe if a baby got a hold of this and like began to nurse on it and got it down their throat, that would be the only way that a child, other than, like I said, taking like a golf club handle and jamming the dart down somebody's throat. But that's really the golf club handle. I don't know what you could do to possibly.
Yeah, well, I mean, and even that, the gun itself, the Nerf, whatever, even the bows that they sell, look preposterous. I mean, they look nothing like any, and the colors are far out, like you said, pastel. The colors are really far out. I mean, they make these things look as much not like a gun, not like any weapon that possibly could ever get existed or even would make sense by the laws of physics as they can. And that's weird.
So the child was initially given 3 days suspension, which was reduced, I guess, after the father complained.
3 days? Wow.
3 days in-school suspension.
ISS.
Now, the in-school suspension, I don't care. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, school is in-school suspension.
Yeah, totally. I'm with you.
But I mean, what you're doing is you're scolding this kid.
Yeah, they're putting him in the
making an example of him.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it's about. And the other kids, kids often love another kid to get in trouble. They don't really care why it is. You rarely find kids like, oh man, I can't believe that happened. He was usually like, that's,
or at least it didn't happen to me, basically, is the idea, because they're so deep in this they're so deep in this society where everybody's kind of having power over them. They like it when they have a chance to have a little bit of power over someone else.
Yeah, the one thing that my son plays, with other kids and that kind of thing. And one thing I find, and usually it's kids with brothers and sisters, is the snitching culture that goes on. My son knows nothing of the snitching culture because I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Work it out. Try not to hit each other. That's how it is for me. But there's a lot of that goes on, and in that you're essentially telling on a behavior that the other kid did, so that you can then see the punishment meted out in front of you, or
maybe to earn brownie points with the teacher.
Could be
something like that.
In the cases that I've seen it seems to be that they want the flogging.
Yeah.
Let the flogging begin.
Don't you think adults kind of still have some of that?
Sure.
Mean, like there's
lots of people that haven't grown up past elementary school. Absolutely.
I mean, we get calls on the show all the time, just people gloating about criminals being sent to jail and getting the death penalty and stuff like that, right?
Well, I mean, I think that there's deserve, I think, is a funny term, right? But I do think that some people deserve certain punishments. But I don't know. I mean,
but there's a difference between thinking that it's just and like celebrating it almost, or the reaction to like Osama bin Laden's death, where people were like drinking and partying in the streets. It was just like, there was a lot of criticism there because they're celebrating the death of a human being. Like It doesn't matter. It's Osama bin Laden.
If you feel good about a punishment meted out for a crime, you should, for me, what that means is that I would want that punishment meted out to me if I did it. I don't think any of us are above others when it comes to, things out there. And I think that's you need to consider what punishment do you want to see meted out to you and yours if they do something. And I think that's fine. I mean, I really do. I'm not against punishment as a paradigm. But I think that it should be just. I think it should be, commensurate to the crime. And it's difficult for me to know exactly what that is.
I question the usefulness of punishment. Honestly, I mean, it doesn't. If a crime has a victim, and I think for libertarians, they would say, yes, if something is a crime, that means there is a victim, a clear person who was harmed. And does punishing the criminal do anything to restitute the victim? No, it doesn't do anything to give the victim back what they lost, to come to terms with what the criminal did.
What if the victim wants punishment?
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.